Hey everyone, thanks again for joining another Slim Sports interview. As always, I'm your host, JD. Joining me today is one of the newest assistant coaches for Georgia Southern's men's basketball program, my guy, my mentor, Kente Hart. How's it going, Coach?
Behind. And out swing, cross, swing behind. And out swing, cross, swing behind.
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to have you on here. I know you've had a great career so far, and now you're getting to go to Georgia Southern in the Sun Belt Conference, working alongside some great coaches. New head coach in Charlie Henry. He's taking the reins over there, and he's trusting you to be one of those main assistant coaches on his staff. I know you guys have had a relationship for a little while. You've gotten to know him through your time at FSW. He came and recruited some of your players. Talk to me real quick about that relationship you have with Coach Henry and why you decided to take this job at Georgia Southern.
Yeah, man. I met Coach Henry about, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago now. Him and Coach Nate Oates had came down to recruit Keon Ellis, who was a former Florida Southwestern player who ended up committing to Alabama and playing there. So kind of got to know him then. And then kind of just throughout the years, I would kind of stay in touch with him in terms of just, hey, how's Keon doing? Stuff like that, just keeping tabs on him. And one thing that in the hiring process, he said he liked was when he came down to our practice at Florida Southwestern. What stuck out to him was our practice in general, the way Coach Murphy and myself ran the practice. He was really impressed with it. And he said that always, stayed in his mind. And when he was looking at, hiring an assistant, he originally had looked at Coach Murphy and then Coach Murphy turned it down for various reasons, family and all that. But Coach Murphy told Coach Henry about myself as well and said, hey, you should look at him. And then on top of that, Keon Ellis actually reached out and talked to Coach Henry as well. So, just the fact that he, took two guys' recommendation was very huge for me because I didn't know him that well, but well enough to where, we had a decent enough relationship. And then, deciding to come to Georgia Southern, it was a big opportunity for me. I felt like being able to go up in levels. I felt, going into the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's a really good league. Georgia Southern has a lot of tradition, and to be able to work for Coach Henry is going to just be big for my career, just because, he's been at all levels. He's been at the highest level. He's coached in the NBA. He's coached at high major, Iowa State, Alabama. He was a G League head coach. So just with his resume alone and the amount of knowledge that he has, I felt coming to Georgia Southern was a big step in my career.
Absolutely. And you've had a great career so far. I know last time we had an interview was last year. You had that experience from FSW under your belt at the junior college level. Previously, you were at USC Upstate. Last time we interviewed, you were actually heading to Wofford. And then next thing I know, you ended up at IUPUI. So I had to change the graphic up a little bit, change the logos on there. So that was still fun though. But talk to me real quick about that transition. What happened with Wofford and what ended up bringing you to IUPUI at that time?
Yeah, man. So after I left, when I left Florida Southwestern, went to Wofford. I was only there 2 months, and a lot of people was wondering, why did he leave, especially with everything that transpired there. But the stuff that happened there after I left, I didn't know anything about. But going to Wofford, I learned a lot in 2 months. I was there from like July through really 2 days before official Division I practices started. And my title there was assistant to the head coach. So in that role, you're not really allowed to recruit. You can call on the phone, but you can't really, get out on the road and recruit. And then you can't really do a lot on the floor if all other three assistants are there. So that was the role I was ready to embrace. It got me back to Division I. But when IUPUI came calling, it was crazy, man. I was walking back from the cafeteria at Wofford, and one of the assistants there called me and was like, hey, would you be interested in this position? I was like, yeah, like, tell me more about it. And he got to tell me more about it. And it was an actual assistant. And like I said, man, being an assistant, you can actually get on the road and recruit. Financially, it was a blessing for me and much better situation. And then last, the icing on the cake was being able to go back home. I'm from Indiana. And so, I was moving around a lot, but being able to go back home, being where my grandmother lives in Indianapolis, and then most of my family is in Evansville, Indiana. It just made a lot of sense. So I was excited for the opportunity. Yes, we didn't have the greatest of year, but I learned a lot there. I learned what it's like to try to build a program. I learned what it's like to have to motivate guys to learn how to win. And, being with that staff, Coach Crenshaw is a great guy. I love working for him. We still talk to this day. He didn't want me to leave, but he understood, just in my career and stuff like that, that this was the right move to go to Georgia Southern. But, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you touched on it. Obviously wasn't the best season in program history. You guys ended up going 5-27 overall, 2-18 in Horizon League play. Started off the season against Iowa State and Drake, two very tough teams, and it just kind of unfortunately went downhill after that. But like you said, you learn how to push guys to want to win. As a coach, you always have to kind of try to find the positives in a season, even when it doesn't go your way. Talk to me about this past season at IUPUI. What are the positives that you take away for the program and for yourself as a coach?
Yeah, man, I've never really been a part of a team where we lost so much and lost, just so many games in a row. But the crazy part is, man, I never really got down. Like, you would think, like, as a coach, as a player, even when I play, like, you would get down, but I never really got down. I always, I saw the good in the bad. And from the day I got there to when the season started, then going through the season and then ending the season, even though it didn't show up in the win-loss column, of course, in the wins column or whatever, we got better as a team. The guys started improving, not only from a statistical standpoint, but just as a overall morale standpoint, from a toughness standpoint. And I felt like, God placed me there for that amount of time to impact in those guys' life, impart in those guys' life, help me in my career, learn how to coach differently sometimes, maybe learn and think of other situations on how to maybe prepare or execute in a game. So there was a lot of positives out of that. So, some people will say, I wouldn't put IUPUI on my resume. Like, I'll gladly put it on there. And I have no problem saying that I was a part of that team because, I built some relationships in a short amount of time that hopefully will go, lifelong relationships. But overall, I think those guys learned a lot from my time there, helping them, being one of their assistant coaches. So I enjoyed it. And this sounds crazy. I would do it again if I could, So I have no problem going to a program that's building and trying to grow. So.
Yeah, you guys definitely. I know you got a couple of conference wins in there at the end. I try to tune in here and there when I could, see you coaching, doing your thing, and check out some of the players. I know you guys played in a Horizon League that had a lot of great talent. Milwaukee has another JUCO product, BJ Freeman, who went off. You guys played Antoine Davis, one of the top scorers in NCAA history. So you guys played some tough talent. I mentioned Iowa State and Drake at the start. Like, you guys played some good talent to test you guys. And one of the games that I definitely tuned in for, I love this game, was when you guys played the University of New Orleans. You ended up playing against one of your old FSW players in Simeon Kirkland. Having coached him in the past, what was that like for you, kind of scouting against him and coaching against him when you guys played the Privateers?
Yeah, man, that was an enjoyable moment just to be able to. It's always great when, like, coming from the junior college ranks, you're in Division I, and you're able to either play or coach against a former player, because it just feels good to see them move on and keep getting better in life. But Sim, man, I love Sim, man. I had him for 2 years, and so it was good to see him. And it was around Thanksgiving time, so it was just a feeling of just thankfulness and, good to see you type thing, and just seeing the maturity, seeing the maturation from his freshman year at Florida Southwestern to, I guess, being with COVID, his 5th year in college. You know, he's done a great job, man. And in that game, it wasn't my scout, so I kind of got to sit back and I kind of talked to the coach that had the scout, just told him about his game. You know, with Sim, man, you always know that you gotta go at Sim, make him work, because sometimes he won't always consistently go hard, but when he does go hard, he's a tough guy. But overall, it was fun, man. It was, you know, we chopped it up after the game a little bit, and you know, and then here recently, I think the other day he just graduated, so that's always a great thing to see. And you know, those are the type of moments that you cherish as a coach.
Yeah, that was a fun game for me to watch, seeing you guys, you know, you as a coach and him as a player go at each other. Obviously a great contest. And, you know, like we said, he came from the junior college ranks. You guys also played Eastern Illinois, CJ Lane, another one of your FSW players. He didn't play in that game, but, you know, you see these JUCO guys on all of these teams. I'm sure IUPUI, you recruited some junior college prospects yourself while you were there. As a former JUCO coach, do you feel like more of these Division I programs should be looking at the junior college ranks for their recruiting?
Oh, for sure, man. Because if you coming from JUCO, man, like, you know, for one, you're gonna get a guy that is very grateful. It's not gonna be a guy that's entitled, thinks he just, you know, should just get anything. JUCO kids, we teach, at least for us, man, and a lot of them you see throughout the country. They're taught, like, you got to get it out the mud. Like, you're at the bottom of the barrel. Like, they're taking transfers first. They're going to take, you know, really good high school kids at times. And you guys are at the bottom, man. So you got to dig your way out. And I think that's a good quality to learn, not only in basketball, but in life. And so I will always recruit junior college kids. I always have a special place in my heart for them anyways. But I know what the grind and I know what you have to go through. So when you get those type of kids, man, those are the type of kids that'll help you win. Now, you have to recruit from the right programs, you know, but overall, like, all JUCO kids, man, they're tough-minded. They're going to work, and I think they can definitely help programs. I mean, I'm going to be recruiting a lot this summer, or, you know, this summer, fall, you know, into the spring, JUCO kids for sure. And that's one thing that Coach Henry, me and him have talked about, is just really holding down the state in Florida. And then, of course, getting out in the Midwest a little bit, Kansas, Texas. But with us being so close to Florida, like, we can't not recruit Florida. And, you know, I'll be down in Fort Myers. So, yeah, you know what it is.
Absolutely. And like you just said, you know, you got to know what programs to recruit from. Obviously, you being from Florida Southwestern, being one of their former coaches, you've seen firsthand the talent that they produce. Obviously, while you were there, you coached 28 different Division I players, 4 more from this past team. You got to coach them a little bit in the summer before you left for Wolford IUPUI. And, you know, Jadrian Tracy, he's on his way to Oregon now. Tyson Brown to Rhode Island, Bradley Douglas going to Arkansas Little Rock, and Alan Udamadu to Morgan State. Like, they're joining the ranks of some elite players that you've gotten to coach. As, you know, you're recruiting, you know, going through those JUCO ranks, do you kind of take a little extra look at FSW, knowing firsthand the talent that they produce?
Oh, yeah, they're going to be my first team that I look at always for the rest of my career, as long as Murph is there. Now, if Murph leaves, you know, it may change up, but as long as Murph's there, they're going to be the first JUCO team I look at, and they're going to be the first JUCO team and players that I trust without even ever seeing them, because I know what type of product Murph is going to produce there. And along with those assistants, Lack and Coach Paez and Wallace. So, yeah, FSW is number one always. And then I got a lot of respect for other coaches in the state in general. You know, you got Coach DeMayo. He's a big time coach. He's had really good players. There's just so many, man. I can't even think of all the coaches. But Florida Southwestern is always going to be dear to my heart, because it kept me in the game when I left FSW. And Murph, he's my big bro. So, you know, me and him, out of 7 days in a week, we talk at least 4 or 5 days, and we'll talk an hour, 2 hours, and don't even realize we talk so long, because we'll hit recruiting, we'll hit, you know, former years, you know, we'll hit years ago, stuff that happened years ago. So me and Murph got a really good relationship, and he's always been a guy that I've always looked up to. He's like a mentor in terms of just, I bounce ideas off of him, players, career wise. And Murph's the type, man, you've been around him. He's a blunt guy. Like, he's going to tell you what it is. And he's a guy I feel that you can trust. And he's going to shoot you straight. And you got to have those type of guys, around you, because you don't want guys just telling you what you want to hear. Murph, I've known Murph for 13, 14 years. I remember when I first got started, he used to get on me about being quiet and not talking. And, I think he even saw the maturation of myself when I came to him to Florida Southwestern. So I know it's a long-winded question, but Florida Southwestern, as you can see, is dear to my heart. And they'll definitely be a program that I recruit for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely know firsthand Coach Murph. He's what he produces, and yeah, you're definitely right. He is very blunt. It's absolutely amazing, and that's part of what makes him such a great coach. And obviously, they still got a couple more guys. I'm sure you might be recruiting a few of them: Jamal Davis, Wesley Oba, Jordan Mitchell, Omar Rowe. All those my guys. I had to shout them out. I told them I would. Obviously, now you're going to be heading to Georgia Southern, and you're actually joining a staff that they're bringing back one of their coaches from last year, Chris Shumate. This is, I believe, his third season with Georgia Southern. Great guy, what he's done with the program. And then Maurice Spates, who's an NBA veteran, NBA champion with the Warriors, was a key part on that championship team. Talk to me real quick about what it's like being able to work with these other coaches and get to know them so far.
Yeah, man, I didn't so going into it, I didn't know Coach Shumate. He actually recruited Jalen Finch, who's a former FSW player, a little bit out of Jacksonville State when Jalen transferred. So I didn't really know much about Coach Shumate, but, I've heard nothing but great things about him. And then getting there, he's done nothing but welcome me with open arms. He's always asking if you need help. He's very knowledgeable just of the school in general because he's been there. So he's a guy I'll definitely lean on just in terms of maneuvering around the campus and the city for that matter. Coach Mo Spates, man. I've known Mo for, I guess, ever since he got done with the Warriors, because that's when he moved back down to Florida, started his academy rather. And, just got to know him just because he's had players. And of course, he's going to be a guy you respect just because he's in the NBA. But being around him, like, he's not just a guy that played in the NBA. He actually knows the game. And he's intelligent. He's smart. You can tell he's picked up a lot of things from the NBA. And I think it's cool that he's trying to get on the college side and kind of see what it's like. Of course, he played at a high level at Florida, but he's never coached in Division I. But I don't question if he knows the game and understands it, being that, anyone that can run an academy for the amount of years he did, and you have to go out and recruit your own players, and you have to house them, and you have to set up travel and do all these other things. Like, that's basically like what a JUCO coach does. And an ops guy in Division I or Division II. So he's definitely cool to be around. We talk all the time. He probably is the one I spent the most time with, just because we both came in at the same time. And, I'm going to enjoy learning from him and talking to him about his time in the NBA, because I've always been a guy that likes to learn and pick people's brains. So he'll definitely be somebody I'll definitely do that with, just because he's played with some really good players.
Oh, yeah, he definitely has. Obviously, being an NBA champion with the Warriors, playing alongside Steph Curry and Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, some great guys. And then, you got, obviously, Coach Shumate. He's got a lot of great experience under his belt as well. I know you guys are bringing in a great recruiting class this year coming up. Some of the names that I've seen: Russell Dean coming from Hampton. He averaged 13 points, 4.5 assists. Eugene Brown III, he's coming after playing 3 years at Ohio State, played 77 games there. And then Malik Tidwell from Bluefield State, 22.6 points per game, an absolute bucket getter. A couple of high school recruits coming in as well. What are you looking forward to with this upcoming recruiting class, as well as the players that are returning to the program also? What are you looking forward to the most this upcoming season with all of these guys?
Yeah, with the recruiting class, I'm excited with the recruiting class we brought in. I think the whole staff is. We've done a good job. As soon as we got there, as soon as Coach Henry got there, they started recruiting. And then myself and Coach Mo got there. Coach Shumate did a great job of retaining some of the high school kids. And, just the class we brought in are high level guys, I think. Good, high in character, high integrity. And they all were successful at their respective programs. And I think some of the guys we brought in too, 3 of them will be grad transfers. So that's going to bring some veteran leadership that we'll need for the younger crew, and some of the guys you mentioned. And then the guys returning, man, they're actually really good players. Coach Henry did a great job of retaining some of those guys that went in the portal when they let Coach Berg go. And, when I got there, I knew about some of them, but seeing them live and in person, like they're a talented group, and I'm excited to get in the gym with them and help improve their game, and I think we can have a successful season. I'm excited. Like I said, man, Coach Henry's a really good coach, well-known, knows the game. If anybody watched Alabama, like he was a big part of not only their defense, but offensively. So I'm just excited to learn from him, man. He's different. He's definitely different.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see what this group of players does and how Coach Henry does as the head coach. They're obviously learned from Nate Oates. I know you've gotten to meet Nate Oates as well when he recruited Keon. That's one of the best coaches in Division I basketball right now. And I mean, I'm sure that rubbed off on him very well. My last question here, one of the questions I always ask players this, what are you looking forward to doing this upcoming season? Yeah, obviously working on their shot, getting better on defense. Obviously, asking a coach this, that's not going to be your answer. So what are you looking forward to doing as a coach this upcoming season to get your guys better and to have a successful season for Georgia Southern?
Yeah, well, number one with me, man, and everybody knows me, I love to be in the gym. So that's always going to probably be one of my most focal points immediately, because I think that's where you can build relationships with players anyways, is just getting in the gym with them and helping them improve their game. And then they start to trust you in other aspects. So that's going to be probably big for me. And then just kind of, for me as a coach, man, it's skill development. And then it's, how can I help this guy improve as a man and improve in life? So I'm like a big brother, uncle type. I'm getting older, so I call myself an uncle now. But like, I just love to help, man. Like, it's crazy the amount of kids. When I look back, the amount of kids I've been around, the amount of kids that I've imparted and invested my time to, and I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys. So that just lets me know that I must have done something right for a player to still want to reach out. Hey, coach, how are you doing? So those two things are going to be important for me just coming here at Georgia Southern. And I'm excited, like I said, man, I think we'll have a good season. I think the sky's the limit as far as our talent. Like, we got a lot of talent, and we just got to get them better, which I think we will.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you're going to help them out a lot, obviously coaching countless Division I talents, a couple of NBA players, and, countless other pro guys overseas, some in the G League. You have a lot of wisdom that you're going to bestow on them, and I cannot wait to see what you do for Georgia Southern next year. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Coach. I've been trying to get more coaches on here, and, obviously you're my guy. You've been a great mentor to me as well, and I cannot wait to see what you do this upcoming season.
For sure, man. And I may need to get you to you may want to interview Mo, man. Mo Spates. That'd be a good one.
I would love to have him on if he's willing to do it. Any of the coaches there, I would have them on in a heartbeat.
Mo will definitely do it. I'll tell Mo. Let's connect, and maybe within the next month or so, within this month, we'll get you to do an interview with him.
Absolutely. I appreciate that so much, man. It really does mean a lot.
For sure, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely. You have a good one, Coach.
All right. You